All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for Coffee and Real Estate Scoop with Stacy. We're excited that we have a special guest today, DebiJo with DebiJo's Designs. And I just wanted to take a minute to welcome her. Thank you for joining us, Debi.
Thanks, Stacy. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So DebiJo is a designer and a renovation consultant for both residential and commercial. So we're excited to have her today to talk about some things in both of the spaces for both residential and commercial. And she also specializes in aging in place, which we're excited to hear more about today. DebiJo has a unique background that she has been a nurse for over 30 years, and then she switched careers, and now she's in design. So it's kind of a neat background. And happy Nurses Week. I wanted to say that to you and to thank you for all the service you did provide for over 30 years. And now you're using all those great skills and combining them with design, which is so related to real estate. So we're excited to have you and teach us some things as well as teach some of our viewers some things. So,
Great.
So let's get started. So DebiJo, tell us a little bit about what you do for your residential clients.
My residential clients kind of run the gamut. They may just be wanting to zhuzh up their house a little bit, get new furniture, get new color, to the point where, they want to redo their kitchen, redo their baths, do an addition on their house, whatever they're doing. So I would go in, discuss what they want to do, and then I would find the right contractor for them that would work well with them if it's necessary with a contractor. And a lot of times it's what's your budget? And I'm pretty realistic with people too, and say, well, you might not be able to do it for that much, but here's what we can do to get started. So you at least feel like you've done something and got something new, because I think sometimes expectations are with HGTV and everything that
Right.
doesn't cost anything.
Right.
So, my goal is to find out what their expectations are as well, and what is affordable to them. And to me, I always try to find out how long they're going to be living there. If they're going to be living there a long time, then I'm like, let's go for it then, because you're going to enjoy it. If you're doing it to sell in a year or two, well, then let's do the minimum that you have to do, and then be able to still enjoy it, but you're not going to feel heartbroken leaving this brand new renovation.
Right. Awesome. Well, that sounds great. And maybe sometimes people do things in phases, it's like HGTV does it all in a half hour and you're like, how did that happen? Right.
I know.
Right. So, well, thank you. So DebiJo, tell us a little bit about what you do for your commercial clients. And I know you mentioned you were doing all kinds of things with artwork and all kinds of neat stuff. So tell us a little bit about all of that.
Well, currently I'm working on a space in Lansdowne that's going to be a memory center. And it was one they bought out. So the whole feel and vibe of it, they want to change it, make it more their own. And a lot of that we can do through artwork. So I have gone through and picked all the artwork to, be hung in this space, figure out the framing, the matting and everything. I've also done the same for some corporate work down in Tyson's. So that's one aspect of it. The other is they want to change the reception area. They want a new vibe. So it may be new furniture, new art, paint, maybe rip out the carpet if they've got old carpet, if it's an older space, put something in that's a little more up to date. And then all the way to the gamut of the job I did in Rockville, where it was a blank slate. And we just kind of went in, and I went in with the architects and we knocked out walls, and I came up with the different designs. We had the basic, but then, put my spin on it and picking all the furnishings, the colors, the artwork, all the little extra touches, doing stone on a couple of walls. It was very cool. And just some different things for them. So, working in conjunction with the architect, but also being able to find them some really good deals too, because it was they came in with certain prices, and of course the guys, they were great, but they're going through a company, and I was actually able to find compatible pieces for way less, so they could spend more money in the actual renovation as opposed to spending a fortune on every little thing going in, and keep it a little bit more budget friendly.
Right. Well, that's great. So I'm just curious, how do you handle understanding their personality. So you know whether it's residential or commercial, you understand where they're coming from. So let's say I'm all about, the blue tones, and
Mhm.
is it more about the vision you see, or do you interview them to find out who they are?
It's more of an interview. And although it's not really so much of an interview, I've kind of taken my practice of nursing
Mm-hmm.
and turned it into how I deal with my clients. It's, basically as a nurse, I had to go in, I had to assess the situation, what was going on, listen to them, and then come up with a solution. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people say, well, I'm afraid to work with a designer because she's going to push what she wants in here. And that's not my job. My job is to make sense of what you want. I
Right.
mean, I will interject, and
Right.
say, okay, that's lovely. And this is why we would do this kind of thing. But,
Right.
it's mainly listening to them. And you can kind of see in looking at their home. And, there's certain things that are important. I can tell if something's important just by looking at it. And how do we make sure we incorporate what's important to them in the home and have it be theirs?
Right. Now, would you reuse anything they currently have and work around that? Maybe they have a focal piece they've, picked that they want to be the center of attention, maybe in a residence or a commercial space.
Sure, I do that all the time because I go through and I mean I love mixing things. So if it's something that was great grandma's, it doesn't mean it's not going to go in a space that might be more contemporary or industrial or this or that. But it may be that piece that was so important, it just mixes in with everything else and you make it work because you don't want to take everything out that is important to them. And sometimes we'll do it in stages. It's like, okay, I'll do a space plan and say, this is how everything should lay out. This couch is a little too big, or this chair is a little too small. So when we start looking for things, this is what we're looking for. But this is where I've placed all your other pieces that you have that you want to keep. And we can kind of, again, even in buying furniture, do it in stages.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That sounds great. How do you handle your appointment process of meeting, and how do you normally handle it, and how are you handling it today in our current environment?
Well, it's kind of the same. I usually prefer to talk to the people on the phone. I mean, we can talk or we can FaceTime, whatever, because I want to get a sense of what they want done. And I want to make sure I'm the right fit for them. I may not be. There may be somebody else that is better for them. And it's not saying it's not a big enough job or it's too small a job. It has nothing to do with that. It just may mean what they want to have done is not right. So then we make an appointment to get together. I'm currently working on a pretty much whole house renovation right now, all through FaceTime. When it opens up, I'm going to go over there. It's a couple that's not really living there that much yet because they just bought it. And we're trying to do it before they get totally moved in. But I've been able to go through it and talk through, what they like, what they don't like. I was able to come up with a total kitchen design, so at least we know the layout and we can discuss budgeting and stuff. And so it hasn't been too hard. I do tell my clients, especially those, because this one's in Potomac, that are a little further away from me in terms of driving. If there are things and they're comfortable doing things online with me, for
Mm-hmm.
the most part, my prices can come down some because I'm not taking all that time and traveling consistently. Of course, I'll be there for the renovation and make sure everything's going incorrectly and be there in front of them with selections. But sometimes it's like we want new lighting. Well, I'll send them some links and say, here, what do you think of these? Instead of every time going over with everything. I think it makes the process move a little quicker, and they can discuss it among themselves, any links that I've sent them, without me there influencing them. It's more
Right.
me trying to find out their style.
Right. That's good. That's
Mhm.
really good. So, what's your timeline for getting projects done now that we can't physically be together as much? Is your contract work still proceeding, or is that on a pause right now?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
The art installation, once the art comes in, will be taken care of. There's no residents at the spaces yet. So it's not like we're worrying about a ton of people. It's a couple people that live there. I'll go around in mask and gloves and the whole thing and place the art where I want it to go. The hanger will come in then and hang all the pieces and stuff. So that's okay. But I'm currently working on two where they've ordered the furniture and we're working on they're going ahead and painting. Well, they said, well, heck, we're stuck here. We'll do the painting. You know, it's a base that, but there's other things that need to be done. So we're kind of on hold with that. And the other one, I was in the middle of shopping for furniture. So we're kind of stuck. Although we've been able to find the lighting online, the colors were fine. We went ahead and, you know, they got the colors. So we're moving ahead and we know what we want. It's just a matter of now we have to, once we can open, then the contractor will go in and do what they're doing. And then this one is actually probably going to go ahead. But of course, you have a 30-day window of waiting for cabinetry to come in. So we have time to get everything else pulled together and they can start doing the work they need to do in the, you know, knocking down walls and moving things, you know, plumbing, electrical and all that. And the contracts I've been working with have been really careful. You know, they're wearing booties over their shoes, they're wearing gloves, they're wearing masks, they're taping, you know, doing the plastic with the zipper. So they're like in the space, but not in somebody else's space right now. Luckily the clients can live on a different floor. So they're okay. You know, they're all right and get in and out that way. So it's you know, it's a little bit of both. If I, you know, I kind of play it by my clients. You know, are you comfortable with this? And these guys are like, yeah. So I'm going over next week to look at the space. And they're like, yeah, we're totally comfortable. And I, you know, I take my precautions too, you know, and I know my contractors are also taking precautions with their workers to make sure they're okay as well.
Right, right. Excellent. You know, I'm curious, and I meant to ask you this before. Tell me a little bit about, do you do anything exteriorly, like any design in the yard or with like a porch or anything like that? Any external outside?
I have worked with those that do the porches and stuff. Usually what I try to do is leave that to, you know, the deck people and all that know what they're doing, that have designs. But what I will do is go ahead and decorate it or whatever. I'll make suggestions in color. I'll do that. Like what floor, you know, how should the railing be? You know, what would be a good way to do it? But I leave that to the deck people to give them their input, because you know, the pricing is very different with stuff like that and what it's going off of the house. And also I kind of push that to them and then just assist.
Okay, great. Well, I just wanted to make sure when I refer you, I know exactly what you do.
Okay.
And I get reminded here today. So, so one other thing that we talked a little bit about in your introduction is that you do something special called Aging in Place, utilizing all of your nursing background. And we're really curious to know more about that.
Well, it kind of got started because I find that I work with a lot of baby boomers, you know, my age group, that we actually kind of maybe have the money to go ahead, or we have the equity in our home to be able to renovate. And what has happened is I kind of go in the home and look at it, and I guess it's just the nurse in me. And I'm like, so how long do you plan to stay here? Do you plan to retire? He's like, yes. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're not getting through this door. You know, it's like you had to have a wheelchair, you had a walker, or this little ledge as you go over and stuff. Is not good. I'm not telling them they have to do all this now, but I talk to them about it. It's like, let's open it up. And so we've been trying to do more open concept when I'm in there with them. Plus, I'm also like, if you had to live on the first floor, you know, where is your full bath? Where would you make the bedroom? Some it's really easy because they have, you know, an office that could be changed into a bedroom if needed, a powder room that maybe has a closet next to it that we can wall off, which I've done, and put a shower within there. So I try to work with that. Or if they have family members coming to live with them, you know, elderly or those that are infirm. It could be, you know, one of their children that had some sort of an accident and needs to live first floor living. How do we still keep the privacy for all of that for both of them? Because, you know, the people that are living there and the people that are coming in, you know, you don't want it to be a bad situation. You love your family and you want to be able to help them, but you also don't want to be frustrated. So let's make the plan that if this happens, what you can do and not feel like it's taking over your life.
Right.
Kind of thing. And those that are actually thinking of moving, a lot of times I will go in the space and look at it and see, you know, it's like the bathroom. We really need to redo this because you don't have enough of a curve to bring a wheelchair around, if you're coming into somewhere. If even in just in renovations, if they're older, I'm like, if we're tearing these walls down, let's reinforce them, especially in the shower, for grab bars later. You don't have to put them up now, but at least the wall is reinforced and you're not just going into tile and hardy board. You're actually, it's being set into something, to think ahead of that, to be able to either have a bench in there or be able to put a bench in there or a folding bench or something. I mean, and these are really nice design aspects, and there's really cool grab bars that work well for people, and it's not like all of a sudden you're in this nursing home. It's there for you for a purpose. So there's a lot of different ways it can be done.
Sure. So would you do different things if you were just trying to get it going in that direction, or if you were really seriously saying, I want to stay here, like, I don't know, maybe someone's 60 and they're saying, we have a long lifespan in our family or something, and we're going to maybe live here 25 more years or something. So you're taking all that into consideration for, just the whole space, like living room, dining room, like really kind of like a whole first floor renovation. That could be expensive.
Well, I usually have them talk to their financial advisor. I actually see what kind of equity they have in their home. The thing is, they're not going to make, if you put a couple $100,000 into your house, are you going to recoup that? No. However, if you had to go to assisted living, you're still spending all that money to go to assisted living. Right. And if that's not the lifestyle you choose, then put the money into this because it's well worth it. It really is. And to see where you're at, you don't want to make yourself cash poor. And I have told people, like, let's say, well, if my kids sell this house, if I'm gone and my kids sell this house, are they going to be stuck with all this? And I'm like, the one I did for this one woman who passed away, the person that bought the house, his dad was moving in with him, and he was like thrilled that there was a bathroom and a bedroom. Perfect. Everything was on the first floor. He could get in, he could get around, and he didn't have to worry about it. So, there are positives to doing these things. And of course, with all the designs these days that are out there, you're seeing more first floor living. It may mean putting an addition on because it's easier. To do an addition out the back and add the bathroom than to try to revamp the whole house, depending on how the house looks.
Absolutely. And maybe do it in a way, and maybe you do this regularly, but do it in a way that once that space specifically for that individual isn't needed, it goes back to being, the home office or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. And what you end up with is an extra bathroom on the first floor. That's not a bad thing,
Right.
Yeah, that's desirable.
And, there's lots of reasons why people need that for, pets. People like a first floor for in a mudroom for pets and all kinds of things. So it can be, have some different uses. So that's really good. So, well, excellent. So tell us a little bit about the area that you cover, because that's important. Obviously, doing things online, it doesn't matter that much right now because we're doing virtual things. But in general, tell us a little bit about the area you cover so that folks know.
Well, primarily Northern Virginia, Maryland, and DC. Okay. And I've done some work in Pennsylvania, some work in Florida, work in New York, work in Texas, that they've traveled me out there to do things, past clients and stuff that have wanted work. So they fly me out or whatever. But I like to stay within the area. I love being out in Loudoun County. So that's a real plus. You get a much better deal if we stick to Loudoun County because, it's really nice when I only have to travel 5 minutes to get to a house.
Right.
Makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I have contractors that work in the different areas too, that work in DC. From Maryland, DC, maybe they'll work a lot in Maryland, those that work out here, those in Alexandria. So I have them that will go different areas. Right.
Excellent. Is there anything else, DebiJo, that you wanted to share with us about your business today?
I don't think so. I mean, one of the big things I do with my business is I don't upcharge anything. So if I'm working with the client and they say, hey, we want the contractor, we want the kitchen in. So I will give them a couple names, but the best ones for them. And I let them know they contract with them. I'm not getting paid for them to come in. My thing is, it's like, I'm getting paid by you anyway. This way they know up front, this is what they're getting all around. Same thing if I'm buying them things or whatever. Here's a receipt. This is what you owe me. You
Right.
know, I don't need the extra. If I can get discounts, I pass it on to my clients. So it's, you know, I know that's not always the norm, but it's kind of the way I work. You know, everybody wants a deal where they can get it. So I would rather, if somebody said, hey, I'll give you 10% because you gave me this job, I'm like, why don't you take 10% off the job and give it to the client? And, you know, they'll have a client for life then.
Right. That's so awesome. Well, thank you so much. Are there any questions? Ed, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. DebiJo, thanks again for joining us. I work with a lot of small business owners. What would you say are common issues or questions they have at the initial consultation with you?
Well, I think the first thing is, you know, what's it going to cost? You know, what is the cost? And sometimes they're like in shock. They're like, really? And I'm pretty good at guessing. And I don't want to, and I always tell them, you have to talk to the contractor. But from my experience, what you want to do, this is probably about the ballpark, or else, you know, that kind of thing. So I think it's primarily cost, and also, you know, is this going to look like me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is this going to be my space?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, you know, I was listening to what you described about the aging in place offering, and I think that's great. Do you hinted that sometimes the modifications that are made carry on to the buyer. Have you seen, is there any impact to value you know, when the owner passes on and they put it on the market, or when they need to put it on the market, does it change the value of the property at all?
I have not seen that. I think it's a plus, and I think especially, you know, if we're putting in like grab bars, we're putting in certain things to help people move around. I'm putting in designer pieces that look really cool, and they're more of a statement, but it's a functional statement. It's like,
right.
Like
Exactly.
It's aesthetically
Yeah.
pleasing and it's complimentary, I'm sure. So
Exactly.
excellent.
Yeah.
Good. Well, wonderful to have you. It's wonderful to have you as a resource.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again, DebiJo. And we're here to help anybody that comes your way that needs us, either in residential or commercial too. So thank you so much.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, I was glad to talk to both of you.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, thank you. Well, we look forward to working with you in the future with our clients. We'll definitely be referring them when the time arises. And we appreciate you taking the time today and being here for us. And on behalf of all of us at the Martin Dream to Home team, we really appreciate it, and we wish you a great weekend.
Have a great
Have a
weekend,
good day.
DebiJo.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.